Christianity as the largest religion in Wales. Until 1920 the established church was Anglican, although Wales has a strong tradition of nonconformism and Methodism. Most adherents to organised religion in Wales follow the Church in Wales or other Christian denominations such as the Presbyterian Church of Wales, Catholicism, Baptist and Methodist churches, and Eastern Orthodoxy. Other religions Welsh people may be affiliated with include Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Islam, Sikhism and Druidism, with most non-Christian Welsh people found in Cardiff. Statistics: in terms of identity, the Presbyterian Church in Wales and Church in Wales are the largest denominations with 30% of the population identifying themselves as adherents. The Roman Catholic Church and the Church in Wales are the two largest churches in Wales, both of which have less than 5% of the population as members. The next largest religious society is the Presbyterian Church of Wales with 34,819 members, followed by the Union of Welsh Independents and the Baptist Union of Wales, which each have about 1% of the population as members. The 2001 census showed that slightly less than 10% of the Welsh population are regular church or chapel goers, although about 72% of the population saw themselves as Christian in some way. In the 2011 census this figure had fallen to 57.6%. Christianity =history =. Roman origins: Christianity arrived in Wales sometime in the Roman occupation. It was initially suppressed. The first Christian martyrs in Wales, Julius and Aaron, were killed around AD 304. The earliest Christian object found in Wales is a vessel with a Chi Rho symbol found at Gwent. Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire in the 4th century. After the Roman legions withdrew in the 5th century, Anglo-Saxon invaders gradually conquered eastern and southern Britain but were unable to make inroads into Wales, cutting Wales from Celts in Scotland, Cornwall and Cumbria. The writer Gilders drew sharp contrasts between the Christian Welsh at this time and the pagan Anglo-Saxon invaders. Emergence: the Age of the Saints was marked by the establishment of monastic settlements throughout the country, by religious leaders such as Saint David, Eiltard and Turilo. This was the period when the Welsh developed a shared national identity, arising from their language and religious beliefs. The Welsh bishops refused to cooperate with Augustine of Canterbury's mission to the Anglo-Saxons. However, a combination of Celtic Christianity's reconciliation with Rome and English conquest of Wales meant that from the Middle Ages until 1920, the Welsh dioceses were part of the province of Canterbury in communion with Rome until the Reformation. This participation in the province of Canterbury continued afterwards as part of the Church of England. From the time of Henry VIII, Wales had been absorbed into England as a legal entity, and the established church in Wales was the Church of England. Reformation: Bishop Richard Davis and dissident Protestant cleric John Penry introduced Calvinist theology to Wales. They used the model of the Synod of Dort of 1618 to 1619. Calvinism developed through the Puritan period, following the restoration of the monarchy under Charles II, and within Wales' Methodist movement. However, few copies of Calvin's were available before mid-19th century. Welsh as liturgical language: some books of the Bible and of the Apocrypha had been translated in the Middle Ages, but the Acts of Union passed under Henry VIII effectively banned the Welsh language from official use. However, under Elizabeth I the English Parliament passed the An Act for the translating of the Bible and the Divine Service into the Welsh tongue 1563. In 1567 William Salisbury, Richard Davis and Thomas had completed the first modern translation of the New Testament and the first translation of the Book of Common Prayer. Then in 1588 William Morgan completed a translation of the whole Bible. These translations was important to the survival of the Welsh language and had the effect of conferring status on Welsh as a liturgical language and vehicle for worship. This had a significant role in its continued use as a means of everyday communication and as a literary language down to the present day despite the pressure of English. Abuses did occur, and in the 18th century some bishops granted benefices in Welsh-speaking areas to English clergy who did not speak Welsh. This contravened Article XXIV of the Articles of Religion of the Church of England. It is a thing plainly repugnant to the Word of God, and the custom of the primitive Church, to have public prayer in the church, or to minister the sacraments in a tongue not understanded of the people. In 1766 the church wardens of the parish of St. Bunno, Tifdraith on Anglesey, supported by the Synodorian, began a test case against an English clergyman, Dr. Thomas Bowles, whose could not conduct services in Welsh and whose attempt to do so had ended in ridicule. In its verdict in 1773 the Court of Arches refused to deprive Dr. Bowles of his living, but did lay down the principle that clergy should be examined and found proficient in Welsh in order to be considered for Welsh-speaking parishes. Nonconformity and Revivals. Nonconformity was a significant influence in Wales from the 18th to the 20th centuries. The Welsh Methodist revival of the 18th century was one of the most significant religious and social movements in the history of Wales. The revival began within the Church of England in Wales and at the beginning remained as a group within it, but the Welsh Revival differed from the Methodist revival in England in that its theology was Calvinist rather than Arminian. Welsh Methodists gradually built up their own networks, structures, and even meeting houses, which led eventually to the secession of 1811 and the formal establishment of the Calvinistic Methodist Presbyterian Church of Wales in 1823. The Welsh Methodist revival also had an influence on the older nonconformist churches, or dissenters the Baptists and the Congregationalists who in turn also experienced growth and renewal. As a result, by the middle of the 19th century, Wales was predominantly a nonconformist country. The 1904 to 1905 Welsh Revival was the largest full-scale Christian revival of Wales of the 20th century. It is believed that at least 100,000 people became Christians during the 1904–1905 revival, but despite this it did not put a stop to the gradual decline of Christianity in Wales, only holding it back slightly. Disestablishment. The Welsh Church Act 1914 provided for the separation of the four dioceses of the Church of England located in Wales from the rest of the Church, and for the simultaneous disestablishment of the Church. The Act came into operation in 1920. Since then there has been no established church in Wales. In 2008, the Anglican Church in Wales narrowly rejected a proposal to allow women to become bishops. Sabbatarian Ism The Sabbatarian temperance movement was strong among the Welsh in the Victorian period and the early 20th century, the sale of alcohol being prohibited on Sundays in Wales by the Sunday Closing Act of 1881, the first legislation specifically issued for Wales since the Middle Ages. From the early 1960s, local council areas were permitted to hold referendums every 7 years to determine whether they should be wet or dry on Sundays. Most of the industrialized areas in the east and south went wet immediately, and by the 1980s the last district, Dwyfor in the northwest, went wet. Since then there have been no more Sunday closing referendums. Dwyfor as the last of the dry regions went wet after a local referendum in 1982. However, in the next referendum it returned to a dry region on Sundays from 1989 to 1996. In early 1996 reconstruction of Gwynedd resulted in Dwyfor district being abolished and Dwyfor area is now covered by an area committee of the Gwynedd Council and there have been no further wet, dry referendums. Saints. Saint David is the patron saint of Wales. Wales is particularly noted for naming places after either local or well-known saints. Many or perhaps most places beginning in Lan, for example Llanbedra St. Peter, Llanferra St. Mary, Llanfyangel St. Michael, Llanarmon St. Garmon. Because of the relatively small number of saints' names used, places' names are often suffixed by their locality, for example Llanfyangel Glyn Myfi, Llanfyangel Y Cruden, Llanfyangel Y Pennant. Islam. The largest non-Christian faith in Wales is Islam, with about 46,000 adherents in 2011. Most Muslims live in Cardiff, but there are also significant numbers in Newport and Swansea. There has been a Somali and Yemeni Islamic community in Cardiff since the mid-1800s, founded by seafarers to Cardiff docks. Judaism. Judaism has quite a long history in Wales, with a Jewish community recorded in Swansea from about 1730. In August 1911, in a period of public disorder and industrial disputes, Jewish shops across the South Wales coalfield were damaged by mobs. Since that time the Jewish population of that area, which reached a peak of 4,000 5,000 in 1913, has declined. In 2011 there were a total of 2,064 Jewish adherents in Wales, including 802 in Cardiff. Other faiths. Hinduism and Buddhism each have about 10,000 adherents in Wales, with the rural county of Ceredigion being the centre of Welsh Buddhism. Govinda's Temple and Restaurant, run by the Hare Krishnas in Swansea, is a focal point for many Welsh Hindus. There are about 3,000 Sikhs in Wales, with the first purpose-built Gurdwara opened in the riverside area of Cardiff in 1989. In 2011 some 13,000 people classified themselves as following other religion including a reconstructed form of Druidism, which was the pre-Abrahamic religion of Wales. Irreligion. 32.1% of people in Wales declared no religion in 2011, compared with 18.5% in 2001. Notable places of worship. Bangor Cathedral Euro Church in Wales, Brecon Cathedral Euro Church in Wales, Cardiff Cathedral Euro Roman Catholic Church, Llandaff Cathedral Euro Church in Wales, Newport Cathedral Euro Church in Wales, St Asaph Cathedral Euro Church in Wales, St David's Cathedral Euro Church in Wales, St Joseph's Cathedral, Swansea Euro Roman Catholic Church, Tabernacle Chapel, Moriston, Swansea Euro Congregational Church, Wrexham Cathedral Euro Roman Catholic Church. See also, History of religion in Britain, Wales, Religion in UK, Religion in Europe, Religion in the European Union, Muslim Council of Britain, Religion in present-day nations and states, No Faith, National Secular Society. References. Further reading, Davis, Neza Thomas. Religion in the Industrial Revolution of South Wales, Jenkins, Geraint H. Literature, Religion and Society in Wales, 1660–1730, Williams, Glenmore, ed. Welsh Reformation Essays.